When I was a lad, this place was quite a bit different. I'm sure there used to be a road running down there and houses in front of the arches. Maybe a little bit before when I was a lad. So that bridge is called the Ashupton Viaduct. And down below here used to be the village of Ashupton. Before they released the water into Ladybower Reservoir. This is actually why I've come here today. As you can see, the water levels are incredibly low. We've had some of the driest weather we've had in a long time. I'm hoping today we can find some of the remains of the lost villages of the Derwent Valley. One of those being Ashupton, which was just down here, although we can't see any of the remains today. But I'm pretty sure we'll find some of the village of Derwent. So I've parked the car at Fairhomes. It will cost you an arm and a leg, but they have got toilets and a little cafe where you can grab a bite to eat and a cuppa if you want to. It's a good place to park though if you want to explore the Derwent Valley. Wow. So this is, well, it should be Ladybower Reservoir, but normally all of this is underwater. You can just see that pipeline there. That is the Derwent Valley Aqueduct. So these reservoirs were built to supply water to the East Midlands, places like Derby, Leicester, Nottingham, between 1935 and 1943 when they started to fill up the Ladybower Reservoir. And that aqueduct pipeline travels for about 28 miles and it pumps water all the way from Bamford to Ambergate near Derby. The Derwent Valley is kind of split up between three reservoirs. So you've got the Ladybower Reservoir down at the other end. We've got Derwent Reservoir just in front of us here. And then at the far end, we've got the Howden Reservoir. And each of those are split up by huge dams like this one here. So this is the Derwent Dam. Behind that wall is millions of gallons of water feeding into the Ladybower Reservoir. If we get long periods of really wet weather, the reservoirs fill up, and then sometimes you can see the water overflowing the dam here and running down those walls. I'm pretty sure I've got it on a video somewhere, so I'll pop it on the screen now. See you in about half an hour when I get to the top. I just had a lovely chat walking up the steps with an old fella from Gloucester. We were comparing notes on the Dambusters. So these dams were actually used as part of the training for the Dambusters raised during the Second World War. A clever chap called Barnes Wallis came up with the idea of the bouncing bomb, where Lancaster bombers would fly down valleys, drop a bomb which would bounce along, hit the dam wall, explode it and then flood the areas below. I was lucky enough to be here 7 or 8 years ago where they had a memorial flight with a Lancaster bomber coming across. It had the last remaining member of the Dambusters, George Johnny Johnson, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago, aged 101. May 1943, the 617 Squadron dropping bombs along the Ruhr Valley, I think it is, destroying the Messner Eder dams, which flooded all of the industrial areas below, which slowed down the Nazi war machine anyway. I don't recall seeing the water levels this low before, so we are nailed on to be able to see some of the ruins of the old Derwent village today. A bit more modern history. Wonder what we're finding here. An actual phone that works. You do not see that very often nowadays. I'm quite excited. I've seen a few remains through the gaps in the trees, but I can't get down any lower at the moment. I'm having to walk a bit along the road. There's a fence in the way. But down here, I think we're going to get some better access. Have a look at these old gate posts. That looks like an old road, still got tarmac on it. Loads of stuff to see down here. Here we go. Derwent's Village of the Dams. Here we go, foundations of our first building. No idea what it used to be. Looks like some kind of rail on there. Maybe some kind of industrial building. Spied the old pack horse bridge. I've never seen this before. Look at that. Water running off the hills. Considering this is underwater most of the time, it looks in fantastic nick, doesn't it? More foundations over there. Roots of a big tree. Oh, there's rocks all over the place. I don't know what they are. Where an old road used to go along. People were living here till 1943 when they opened the reservoir, knocked down a lot of the buildings, and then just flooded everything. You can see how long it's been dry just with all the vegetation that's growing. Some old brickwork there. You do need to be careful in some areas because, you know, this is silt. So if things are quite wet, there's a chance that you could sink down a little bit. I've seen where the church is. Another old building or outhouse here. I wonder what this was then. Something over there popping its head out of the water. I don't know what that is. Let's have a look. See if we can zoom in. It's got like an orange buoy or marker on top of it. If you know what it is, do let me know in the comments. This is so cool. Look at these. You'd have thought that they'd have rotted away to nothing. It's all been underwater for about 80 years. Loads of them. The landscape looks so different when this is half empty. Or is it half full? Let's go and have a look at what's left of the church. This is where that road is that I was telling you about. And I don't know if this is original from back in the day or whether it's more recent times. That wall certainly looks old enough, doesn't it? Here we go, look. Make sure you use a bit of common sense when you're out in places like this. I'm wondering what all of these rocks are. They don't look like they're placed randomly. Now, these are in line. Wonder if it was just some kind of garden kind of boundary. Let's have a look at the church and then we'll get the kettle fired up. Got some mega dunking to do today. The ground's a little bit spongy here, so extra care needed just in case. This is what's left of St John and St James Church. They started demolishing the church in 1943 when they filled up the reservoir, but they left the spire still standing, and when the reservoir was filled up you could still see the spire sticking out of the top of the water, and it looked something like this on screen now, and it stayed like that till 1947 when, for safety reasons, they decided to demolish it. Look at some of the carvings still on the stonework there. Somewhere around here there's a keystone apparently. I'm hoping to find that. That little building there again with the orange football on top. There was actually a third village. I think it was up that end at Howden. Birchinley it was called, and nicknamed Tin Town because it was basically all put together from corrugated sheets. It was a temporary town for the workers who built the reservoir. There we go, look. What an iconic piece of history. 1867. A few other people as well have had to put their markings on it. What's that over there? That's a cool shape. I don't know what that is. Maybe just something decorative of the church. The original bell from this church is still in use, I believe, in Chaddeston, Derby. I'll put a link in the description to a bit more information if you want to check it out yourself. Maybe hear that bell ring. That looks like 2 gate posts as well, maybe to the churchyard. Does look a bit of a mud bath to get there though. It seems solid enough. Although I've not got whoop, the best footwear for it. Maybe it's not the best idea. Walk around and use the back door. So there are more building remains further up there near the aqueduct. But it means walking all the way along and then walking all the way back. I don't know what the ground's like. Look at that, look. Getting ready for some new hinges on the gate. I tell you what, let's get a brew and then I will take the time to walk over there. You know, you never know when the water levels are going to be this low again, so I might not get the chance. And from what I saw from the roadside, it'd be well worth taking a look. Everything's fell out. Just when you want a bit of peace, there's always a dog barking. I'm ready for this. We've got, I know today's dunker is going to be on the money because I've had it before, but will it reach the heights of top of the Premier League? So I've had a few people suggesting today's dunking biscuit. My mate Andy Ragg and HB Outdoors UK. So Andy says chocolate hobnobs, dark chocolate hobnobs every time. And HB Outdoors says, love the video, Paul. More of the same, please. With regards to dunking Premier League, it's dark chocolate hobnobs for me, with bourbons a close second. So bourbons, I think, a second on the list anyway. Baked with 100% whole grain oats. So that must mean they're good for you. You keep telling yourself that, Paul. Right, I'm assuming there is an optimum amount of time for dunking these. Look at that, that looks perfect, although smaller than I remember. I'm not messing about, just getting on with it. 5 little dips. Going in again. Oh yeah, they're a perfect dunking biscuit, aren't they? Although I could probably do another one just to be sure. What do you reckon? Chocolate hobnob for the win? Chocolate certainly makes a difference, and I'm a dark chocolate fan. Much better than milk chocolate. I just realised I've got my hat on like Robology. Takes 10 years off you apparently. I'm going to need a minute. Third biscuit in and the results are in. We have a new leader of the Premier League. That is all subjective, of course, but it's my league table, so what I say is final, unless you can suggest something in the comments that is better than a chocolate hobnob, dark chocolate hobnob. No disasters this time either. Big thanks to everyone that keeps sending them in. Keep them coming. It gives me an excuse to buy biscuits, doesn't it? Not that I need an excuse. I'll put the new league table up on the screen. Keep firing those suggestions in. I didn't expect sheep to be grazing here. Sheep will eat anything. So we're getting to the areas that I saw from the roadside. It's like little pathways. I don't know where they lead to. Doesn't look like there's anything over there. I wonder what they used to lead to. It gets even better over here. Have a look at this, look. Perfect little pathways and like sectioned off, almost like it's allotments or something like that. I don't know what it was, what it used to be. Little pathways. Got to make sure you stay in your lane, don't you? Felt a few raindrops then. Typical. So I wonder what this building used to be. That looks like used to be a window, so just imagine how much, you know, silt from the reservoirs there. I bet there's 4 foot of mud. Just be careful that you don't fall on some loose rocks. Loads of different types of stonework, look. Small little ones like dry stone walling, then there's some big blocks over there. It looks like some kind of entrance. It's hard to imagine that almost all of the time this is underwater. You don't get these gate posts from B&Q, they're made to last, aren't they? Look at this little staircase. No creaking. I really enjoyed that. It's not something that you get to see very often, unless you've got your wetsuit and snorkel on. And they're not the clearest of waters, are they? Another bit of fascinating history on my doorstep. So we're back at the ruins of the Church of St. John and St. James. See if we can find anything else of interest on the way back to the car. That's pretty good. So we're at 20 to 7. The cafe's still open. If only I didn't have that extra hobnob. So that is it. We've come to the end of our little walk today. Hope you've enjoyed yourself as much as I have. I would leave you with a view overlooking the reservoir, but as you've seen, there's not a lot of water about today. As always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.